الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم
نحمد ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته Alhamdulillah, you tuned in again listening to The Helper's Gift, and Alhamdulillah, today we got Hafiz Moulana Nasir Uddin. He's seeming a bit sniffly at the moment, but inshallah he'll get through
Yeah,
this.
no, it's nothing major, alhamdulillah. Just the standard hay fever, really. So, yeah, some days are better than others. So, khair anyway, we're here.
Do you take tablets, or you got like what prescribed tablets, or you just take the normal
They
allergy
used to
tablets?
they used to be prescribed, but obviously there's no going to the doctors these days. So we just get the ones that I've been having for years now. So yeah,
You been going to
yeah,
work
man,
as well?
standard, doing what we can. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. How's your work environment regarding the Pride Month and that?
Surprisingly, for what the job was advertised with, they were telling me how, oh, because they saw how I was in terms of my dress, and they've read obviously my CV, me being someone with a very um, Islamic background and education. They were mentioning it in a way where they were like, this job may entail parts of it where a child may identify them something. They may identify themselves in a way which it's not what it's meant to be. But basically, they were saying some girls may identify as boys, some boys may identify as girls. And how would I deal with that? And what would I do? And how does that make me feel? And I go, obviously, my religion, straight first and foremost, we don't believe and we don't accept those things. But as a person that's not part of my religion, I will not shun you in a way where my job there is a duty of care. So I will do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not there to indoctrinate or give da'wah in that way where
Yeah.
it's like forceful. Whereas I will behave as I'm meant to behave. I will treat you guys with care and respect as you'd want, and but holding my principles that if I was to get told anything or to say anything that's out of line with my religion, you won't hear it from me. And there's certain guidelines I should expect you guys to respect and not make it such that I have to cross them. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be a part of the company, etc. So I made these things very clear to them, and there was a mutual respect. And I've been there 7 months now, and alhamdulillah, like, even for example, the children there's 3 girls and 1 boy, and even with those girls, they're in secondary age, but they are genuinely like respectful towards myself. Like, so yesterday, like, I was just having a conversation with one of the children, and it was the same thing where that same child was apparently one that identified as a boy, whereas she's a girl. And yes, yesterday she was telling me how she doesn't like these people that transition, because clearly I am not a boy. It was a phase,
Mad.
but clearly I'm not a boy. I don't even like these people. I didn't tell her to even say these things. Like, I didn't say hate them, this and that. But she goes, I just don't understand their ideology of, look, I'm clearly a girl. How can I identify as a boy? Do you get it? But it's a bit of a weird one, because you can see the signs of indoctrination in her, because she's a girl that enjoys watching drag shows, and I'm just like, ooh, like, she'll be in the living room watching it. I go, listen, I'm not gonna watch this, so I'm gonna just go to the other room. And usually it'll be like, yo, can you come sit with me and watch something or play a game with me, for example, like the PlayStation. And I go, cool, we can do that. But any shows that's a bit problematic, I'm not gonna sit here with you and
Mad.
watch it. Do you understand? And
Yeah,
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
cheer on with
and like, we
that.
have good conversations, quite intellectual conversations as well. Like, she's quite intelligent for her age, at that young age. And yeah, she gets along well with me, and she has that respect for yesterday as well. Like, when obviously it's quite hot, right? And she must have gone out with the other colleagues,
Yeah.
and she was dressed a bit lightly. Obviously, I didn't see, but I'm just saying she's dressed a bit lightly. And then when she came back in, and obviously I was around in the corridor. I noticed that she like quickly done up her zip and stuff in order to basically cover her like shirt and whatever she was wearing underneath. So there is that level of respect because respect is earned. It's not something you're sort of taught. We went off a bit of a on a we strayed the topic, but
Yeah.
obviously the point coming back to
No,
how my workplace views LGBT, like this Pride Month thingy. There's been no noise of it. None of the children give a damn. They don't really care at all. My managers, no one said anything, and yeah, so it's been good in that sense. Where I've, in terms of my dean, I've not felt like attacked or felt that it's been an effect. Like my dean's getting affected with the job I'm doing because I go for all my solars when I'm there. I go for Jumars when I'm there, and like this halal whenever I do decide I want to eat or something. But if not, then obviously I make it known to them that I can't have this, I can't have that, and they'll make sure to clean whatever utensils that they use if I was to have a meal, for example.
Yeah.
And part of it is that when they cook a meal or prepare a meal anyway, they're gonna make sure they clean it anyway. And because I've been there, witnessed it, I know that they do that. So yeah, there's not been any problems in that side, and yeah, alhamdulillah. So it's not
Alhamdulillah.
been something that's been annoying. This whole primer thing, like if in fact I've not even heard it once being mentioned in my workplace. So that's quite a surprise, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not because I do feel that respect, alhamdulillah, for like myself, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm not there, they talk about it. But whilst I've been there, it's been nearly a whole 2 weeks, half a month now. 16th of June today, and yeah, not heard a single peep.
Alhamdulillah, man, that's good. I was about to say, like, even me driving to the masjid, I seen like 2 rainbow flags and all that. It's like, even I think today I was just because I usually when I'm driving, obviously I look at the road, but today my dad was driving in it, so I was looking around a bit, and then I saw one of those flags, and I was like,
okay.
In the whole area,
Yeah. Even in my area, it's like where Barking is quite a as it's known as a ghetto area. It's like it's so old fashioned compared to the other towns, and there's still hints of the olden days basically still in my town. And I did see a few flags, but that's not there. That's been there for a couple, probably a year or two now. Like it's not been just because of this month. And yeah, like I see that, I just get annoyed. I'm just thinking, like, why hasn't someone torn it down by now? I just think no one cares. Like, no one's really looking at it because in my area, I generally don't see any of these, let's say, eccentric people, like these different people. I don't see any, like, I just see men as men, women as women. I don't see any dressed weirdly. I don't see any guy, baked up and stuff. Like, but it's just the flag's just there, innit? I just think inclusion, they say.
Yeah.
So, like
I was actually gonna touch on something because you were saying about in work, you don't feel your dean being attacked.
Yeah.
Right. So do you like? I don't know. I think we probably talked about that earlier about people in the workplace. The dean does eventually get not whitewashed, but for the lack of better words, gets a bit whitewashed.
Yeah,
if you could say.
I think now, because Ramadan was quite recent as well. They, other than me, there's only one brother that's Muslim at my workplace, and he's like an African brother. So he's there night shifts anyway. So he doesn't really get involved much with what happens in the day. Most of the, you could say, controversial stuff happen in the morning where the kids are up and about and maybe have to take them activities, or you may see certain things. I think the maximum you see at night would probably be like, for example, if one of the children come late from outside, if they went out and stuff. But yeah, other than that, it's just me and him. And even recently, he's been quite after Ramadan, been quite on his salah, and that he come in with his prayer mat. And it's summer anyway, so it'll only be Isha for him. I may actually Maghrib as well, and Fajr, actually, whenever Fajr is, because if he does a night shift, he's up all night. So, and Fajr is at what, 2:45 these days. So Yeah. But other than that, like
Yeah, true.
I'm always there. Like for me now in summer, it's just Asr and Dhuhr that I pray at work. So yeah, like generally, it's just of course because the environment's a bit different. It's but it's not too heavily what's the word, like influential, if that makes sense. Like there's nothing that goes on there that's
Yeah,
too concerning in terms of anti-deen. It will just be obviously the standard, just like you know, the women there that are not they're non-Muslims, right? They're not going to be wearing hijab, etc. But most of them are
yeah, yeah,
literally my mum's age and older, so it's like in that sense, there's no concerns with that, and they have their respect as well. And I put myself in a way where they know their limits, basically.
that,
So
yeah.
yeah, in that sense, alhamdulillah. But
Because
yeah,
because, like, coming to, like, I think I probably didn't ask you on the podcast, but I think outside when I asked about Ramadan, you said that you got the whole
mm
month off or something. Coming up to Eid now, and like you booking the
I
day off,
think
or
because
you like what's happening
it's what Eid's in 2 weeks, right? About 10 days, say
about
10
that? Yeah,
days,
a bit more.
10, 11, 12
Yeah,
days, yeah,
because I think it
something like that.
starts
Yeah.
on.
So I think it's on a Wednesday or
Yeah,
Thursday,
yeah,
and that week I do have a shift on Wednesday or
yeah, yeah,
Thursday, but I haven't booked it off yet because obviously not Ramadan, sorry, like holidays are a bit um because of how Eid is, like we our moon sighting. We don't know if it's 29 days, 30 days sometimes. So I didn't book them days off, but on the day or the week before, I would just tell my manager, look, I can't make it for those 2 days. I'll just take it unpaid and just drop the shift basically, and just tell them that, listen, I know I didn't book it, so I don't expect to be paid for it, but I can't come in because it's Eid, for example. Which is why I'm hoping it's Thursday, so that at least Wednesday I can go in, and then Thursday I got off. But if it's
yeah.
Wednesday, then I'll take Wednesday off, and like I know some people are like, oh, Eid day, Eid's a bit boring, this and that. I'm not gonna. I'm only gonna take one day off or something. But Eid al Adha is 3 days, so I'm
Yeah.
not gonna just take one day off. It will be all 3 days because do Eid as it's meant to be, man. So yeah, like forget it. It's just one shift.
Somebody asked me this question about so basically, like, I'm not sure if you got any Ummah welfare contacts, but like Ummah welfare, you know, when they send
The
their
post.
like those flyer,
Mm,
yeah, the posters around, like hit this place, that place,
yeah.
send it here, send it there. Like I think the first one to get fully booked was like Malawi, and it was the cheapest one.
Mm,
So the person's like, yo, can we actually be doing that when, you know, you're earning, you know, 20, 30K a year and you got
what?
enough money, you can probably give it in Palestine if you wanted. I think that was the
Yeah, I've checked the
most
price for
expensive
that
one.
just yesterday. I was
But
talking
like,
to my mum about that. Two
yeah,
thousand
yeah,
for a full
yeah, I think
cow.
2000 a
Two
cow.
thousand one
Yeah,
hundred. 2,100 exactly.
2100. Yeah, yeah.
Subhanallah, man.
So like, yeah, like if people can afford it there, they should be doing it there rather than where is it cheapest. So yeah, I think I did tell him that, you know, the way that you live is the way that you should give
100%.
it. If you live a lavish lifestyle, you should give a lavish one.
Yeah.
Whereas yeah, if you're living a poor lifestyle, all right, then yeah, if you're Malik in a sub, you give the cheapest one. But I heard a lot of people apparently, because I'm not in those circles, they they search for the cheapest one, and like I'm not sure if you heard of that before.
I've not heard of that before, but it makes sense because I think since I've been more out of the masjid these days, I don't really hear these kinds of talks. Whereas, obviously, as you being an
Mm,
imam, you're literally at the forefront, like in terms of being able to hear these things, not forefront of what they do, sorry, but at the forefront of like being able to hear all these talks and little chit chats that go on. I don't want to call it gossip,
mm,
but sometimes stuff like it could end up turning that way. But yeah, these little, you hear,
yeah,
oh, who we giving Qurbani? You hear these conversations, in it. Oh, yeah, I did it here, I did it there. No, it's ajib, isn't it? Like, because the vast difference of our time to the Sahaba Kiram's time, like how Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is one of the greatest merchants of the time, and how much he used to give, his whole mal for the sake of Allah. But at the same time, he used to earn that much as well. Like, it's crazy. And it's just the point you were saying
Yeah.
how, the more we earn, we should look to give more. Like even when I saw it, and I was just like, and I was telling my mom was like, whoa, and I was like, it makes sense, mom. Like, for example, Palestine situation. It's not because things are there expensive. It's the whole situation there. Like these,
Yeah.
don't even want to say their names. May Allah deal with them. That these people that are trying to take over Palestine and stuff, it's because of them that the prices are so expensive. And even us being intending to give Qurbani to those countries, Allah knows if it's going to even reach them. Whereas they could just
Mm.
blockade them, because yeah, we hear the uncles or in the area saying, yeah, I'll give to the cheapest location, but at the same time there's people in secret giving to Palestine, giving to the places that cost more. And only Allah knows, like, we ask Allah for acceptance, because we did our things
I
in
mean,
terms of we sent forth the the money, or the sort of provisions, yeah,
provisions.
to make it there, that through this donation of ours, through this the intention of Qurbani, that a cow or an animal that's fit for Qurbani is slaughtered and distributed to those people. But whether or not it reaches, because of the certain enemies of Islam, Allah knows best. But we always hope for the reward, and the main thing is, like, our amal, it won't be what makes us go to Jannah. It'll always be the acceptance and Allah's mercy and forgiveness. So no, definitely, like, and I still haven't given it yet, because we're still discussing it. Mum was just like, she'll think over it, and we'll inshallah give it. And a few people, like, I just put like a little reminder, and it was nice to see like some people actually responding, saying that, you know what, been a bit lazy, and actually did it. And that's what we want in it, like, as much as we can, just to remind everyone, because it's a
Yeah.
haq upon you know the people that are owed it, in terms of the miskin, the needy. And as well,
Yeah.
it's a haq of Allah that we give the qurbani as He's told us to. you know
Yeah, I think I'd said that today because it's Juma. I did the reminder as well. Like, look, it's probably the first reminder that I'm going to be giving. Inshallah, I'll try to give more. But yeah, the Qurbani, like, if you haven't done it yet, try your best to
yeah,
get it out. This has been 2 days before Zil
that's
Hijjah
it.
starts. So I like, even myself, like, I think last year, I think it's luckily because my dad done it somewhere and he had shares left over. I
Mm,
did it with them, but like, it's fully like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and it just goes to the back of my
yeah,
mind,
literally.
like a lot of things,
I
really.
think when my dad was around, it was a bit easier, in the sense that, I mean, we still could do it. And don't get me wrong. Because I asked mom, "What do you want to do? Do you want to do it local? Do you want to do it abroad?" Of course, doing it local is quite. There's like barakah, of course. There's always barakah in like the qurbani meat, and you see how much. Like, I remember the last
Yeah,
time we did it local, like there was so much meat. It probably lasted like a whole month or something, and that was after I given out so much meat as well to, like,
yeah,
neighbors and family that live close by. And mum's just there with sisters, just knotting up the bags of meat and distributing, etc. Trying to sort it out. And I myself had to go and help get the meat, etc. And there is, of course, a different thing to that. But whereas where we see now, it's really and truly, you know, we should try our best to just give it fully to the needy, because we've got so much, alhamdulillah. So it's like, we can do, of course. There's no saying we can't, and it's not sinful if we keep it for ourselves, because that's what Qurbani is. It's your own Qurbani, and the main thing is that acceptance from
mm,
Allah. Whereas the meat itself, of course, that's where it's, do we really need it in that sense, that much? Because
mm.
obviously you distribute it anyway. But that's why, inshallah, like, if we can, probably I'd say it's probably best to give it out, really.
I think I got both takes on that because there's one brother local, or one brother in the masjid, like, mashallah, he says, you know what, I like
Mm.
doing it myself. So I think, I'm not sure if you know about, near Birmingham, I think it was a couple of years ago, there was a
That's
farm where
the own
you go,
slaughterhouse, isn't it?
yeah, you pay, yeah, and you could
Oh,
do it
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I've heard of that.
Mm. So, so then he would go there a lot, and he said that I used to go every year. I used to do it myself with my
Mm.
family and that. And he's, I used to like the whole, connection, sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, like you're doing it yourself. So he's like, I used to like doing it like that. And he said, I saw why the farmer stopped it, because the farmer
Yeah.
allowed everyone, and he said, look, I'll let you do it. All you need to do is, pay for it and give me a
Mm.
bit extra. So they would give a bit extra, and then a few of the people would be like, no, I'm not going to give a bit extra. Why? Why am I going to
That's
pay
the
you more
guy's
than I have to?
farm.
And it's like,
Ajib, innit? But go on. Yeah.
exactly. And then eventually the guy was just like, brother, I'm not up for
Mm.
this hassle. Yeah, allow it. You lot, I'm just not going to let you do it here anymore. Don't come next year.
It's
That's
Ajib,
it,
Ajib.
done. And that was it. But then, like now, that brother is complaining a lot because he's like, look, how am I supposed to even do it in the country? I can't. Even if I pay someone to do it, I don't know how they're
Mm.
doing it. Like HMC, you can
Yeah.
trust, I guess. But like others, like you don't know. Yeah, we're halal. But EU regulations, this and that, stun the animal. The guy's against stunning, so it's like, well, yeah, now he can't do it himself. But yeah, I get the whole thing. You should give it to the needy, but I think, like you said, we're well off. Alhamdulillah. I think we could do both. You could give it to a different country, needy people, and you could do it here. I think, but for
Mm.
certain people, not everyone. But yeah,
No, you're absolutely right. It's just a matter of priority, really. It's like, how much do we want it? How much do we want it?
mm,
Because yeah, that just puts a thought in my head. Yeah, really and truly, we could do it. And it's as you say, like with the brother that's he was initially offering that service, and then through the ingratitude of people, he's like, you know what, what's the
mm,
point now? It's not worth the hassle, and then he stopped it. So we can only blame ourselves for that, really. And it's like, sadly, the more and more we go on, the more um, what's the word? Attributes and traits of the Bani Israel that's coming into us. You get it? Like someone's
yeah.
giving such
I had
a
that.
noble service. Imagine, you being in a country where it's so hard to do it because of the laws and regulations.
Mm,
Like he had his own farmhouse where you could go and fulfill the sunnah by your own hands. As much as you can. The more we sunnah we do. Man tamassaka bi sunnati inda fasadi ummati falahu ajru mi'ati shahid. It's like just that one
yeah,
sunnah we take for granted how great that is. Where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the hadith mentions that whosoever, to the
subhanallah,
nearest meaning, whosoever revives a
subhanallah. Yeah.
sunnah in the time of fasad, in the time of corruption, mischief,
Mischief.
corruption,
Yeah,
falahu ajru mi'at shahidin. For him is the reward of 1,000 martyrs, 1,000 martyrs, and the reward of a martyr is what? Before their blood touches the ground, in a they're forgiven.
they're forgiven.
Before
Yeah.
their blood touches the ground,
Was
falahu
it
ajru
mi'ati?
mi'at, yeah, mi'at
It's a
shahid.
mi'ati. 100, in it, not
Oh, no,
1,000.
sorry, I said 1,000. 100. Alf is
Yeah.
1,000. My bad. Yeah, 100.
I bet you correct you now
No, no,
before
no.
somebody else does it in the comments.
Yeah, actually, so oh come on, alayhi salat, yeah, so, alayhi salatu wasalam. But
Mm,
that's it's these little things like this, and even like for example, it's just a bit of it's a bit off the topic, but it's on the topic of how that brother was offering a service. Like we should have been honored that we are
yeah.
giving a Muslim brother a form of extra income, because for him the effort to raise the animals, to then obviously give a
Mm,
price for you to be able to have that meat, and imagine it was a farm that wasn't very, it's not producing or reproducing that well, like the cows aren't the greatest reproducers, so then
yeah.
he's going to lose that, whereas he has to keep a certain amount, they need to reproduce, it takes time, it's going to take time again, isn't it?
Subhanallah.
It's not, if it was such a mass produced farm, it was so big, then khair, like I'm sure the farmer, the brother, he'd know how much he has and how much he can afford to give out. And obviously Allah is the provider. Like he'd have no doubts that he'd be able to sustain that sort of business. But for us, it's that if we were to have it in our minds that we providing halal income to this extra brother, we're giving a bit extra money. Not that he's trying to mug us off, but the fact that he's providing a service, then we
Mm,
get reward for just doing that transaction. That's an extra reward, that halal transaction with him. But then it's just everything is just
exactly.
nafsi, just I'm losing out. Why would I pay more? And
Like you just said though, the attributes of Bani Israel
yeah,
like
yeah,
coming in. Like I think I was talking to a few brothers earlier today about, the way they were when the Anbiya and when the rulings came to them, and they were like, it's all
that's
right,
it.
allow this one, let's move on. Like you could see that nowadays a bit as well. Like people are just like, let me do what I want to do and go. Like you're saying, nafsi, nafsi, and that. That's it's funny, isn't it? Because on Qiyamah you're gonna say nafsi, nafsi, like more than you ever did in the world. But in the world you acted the most you could, like
Yeah,
nafsi, nafsi, compared to on that day of Qiyamah.
and it's ajiv as well. It's like when we need
But
help the
yeah,
most, it'll still be, you know what, that whole that whole
my
status, man.
status. Yeah, I can't let people look down on me. People need to look like, I need to keep my respect in front of the people. Them
I
ones are
just, oh,
crazy.
yeah,
Them ones are crazy. You see people do mad stuff, or literally like, somebody can make your situation so easy and so simple, but I don't
yeah.
know, your pride.
That's it,
That's it. It's just your pride would be like, nah, I
literally.
don't want that. I can't have that. Somebody helping me. Nah, I'd rather die. It's like literally you are going to die.
And it's crazy as well. It's like, there's a saying as well. It's like, with in terms of things that you don't know, was it Ali radiallahu an or some pious predecessor? I'm forgetting who it was.
Hmm.
Along the lines of, you're only a fool until you ask the question. If that makes sense, like you're a fool as
Yeah, yeah.
long as the question hasn't been asked. Basically, like, so until you ask that question, you're a
Yeah,
fool.
yeah.
But then once you get the answer or the help that you need, then you've taken that foolishness out of yourself. You take that foolishness out of yourself in terms of you're now aware of what you didn't know. So yeah, it's like,
I, I think that's the whole thing of
yeah,
attaining
that's more
knowledge, right?
knowledge, to be honest.
The one the one Arabic saying. I looked in the dictionary to look up the word talab for them once. I don't know why. You already know what it
Seek,
means
yeah,
to seek, right? But there was one like sentence that it had in there to try and give
context.
you the meaning of it. Yeah, so it said utlub al-ilm qabla tatlub
Hmm.
al-mal. Look and seek for knowledge before you start seeking wealth. And it was just like, okay, that's deep words, man. Yeah. And you have to do that in
You
any
do,
profession. If you want to be good at any profession you want to do,
you do,
you need
yeah.
to learn about it. And if you learn enough about it, you'll get
Yeah.
paid enough for it.
It's,
But if you don't know anything about it and you go like to do like somebody's sink and you don't know anything about plumbing, like the guy's gonna be like, bro, you owe me
because you've
money.
made it
Forget
worse
me
or
paying
something.
you,
Yeah,
man. You broke something. Yeah. So it's that kind of thing, like you're saying. You should learn about it before we want things from it. Like before we want our deen to give us anything, like in return, we should learn about the deen. And being in these 10 days, or the 10 days coming up, I think that's one of the best things you could do, man. Learn knowledge, or not even learn knowledge, but just like actions.
because the whole basis of the Hajj time is always about the sacrifice. It's how did the Hajj come about? It's all based
Mm.
on sacrifice. Ibrahim alayhi salam story, his wife Hajar,
Yeah,
radiallahu anha, like, yeah, all of
radiallahu anha, yeah.
their story was based on that sacrifice. Imagine, like, it's so easy because we just hear the story, but we aren't able, fully, what do you call it, put ourselves in their shoes. Like, we can't imagine it enough because a lot of things with experiences, when they're told and when stories are told, we can't visualize it to a level because we haven't experienced it. So now, when we say, for example, Hajar radiallahu anha, you know, Ibrahim alayhi salam left her there with Ismail alayhi salam. He wasn't saying anything, and he's just walking off. Why have you left me here? It was nothing like that. When she realized that he
Yeah.
was giving her silence, she realized there was more to it, and that's when,
Mm.
of course, middle of the desert, it's hot. Ismail alayhi salam's now starting to cry. Now she's in the middle of nowhere.
Alayhi salam.
Where is she? But the absolute tawakkul in Allah, like, of course, the tawakkul, the story of tawakkul, it's shown here as well. It's like she didn't just stand there and, oh ya Allah, send me something, but she actually did the talab. She
Yeah,
was
yeah.
looking, the Safa Marwa. She was looking, going up one mountain, come the other, again up down. But you know, the instinct to of a mother, and the instinct of, you know, just being someone that has that tawakkul in Allah and Allah's messenger, you know, Ibrahim alayhi salam. But at the same time, trying to see if she could find anything at all. And then, of
Yeah.
course, where it seemed like she's sort of exhausted her options, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the fruit for her labor, in terms of when she was it did she struck her foot or something on the ground?
I think it was Ismail alayhi salam, underneath his feet it came.
And then the spring gushed forward. So it's like a lot of things we are attaining and trying to strive towards. You know, sometimes we won't see the fruits of it straight away. Like if it's something that you're, you know, you want to acquire. Like for example, the ultimate success in hereafter is, of course, what we all are created for. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us for that worship. And then throughout our lives, you know, there's so much difficulties, man. There's so much difficulties in terms of physical, mental, spiritual, but it's a whole, you know, it's a whole life. It's a whole life that we have, and it's a continuous trial. It's a continuous test. And these few days where, you know, Hajar radiallahu anha was with Ismail alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam also. That was tough for him as well. How could someone just leave their wife in the middle of nowhere, you know, with their child, a young infant child? Like, if it wasn't for the right cause, you know, no one would do that in especially with any of us today, or even the times after them. And it just shows that this is the sort of life that we should be expecting, really. Like, we can't just be around and just think, you know, life's going to be so easy. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentioned in the Quran in Surah Ankabut, Alif Lam Mim, أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. That, obviously, Alif Lam Mim, only Allah knows best what the letters mean. أحسب الناس, does mankind think, أن يقولوا آمنا, that they're going to say, I believe, I am Muslim, you know, I believe in Allah. أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون, and that they're not going to be tested. It's just like Allah is telling us directly that you're going to be tested. You're going to go through trials and difficulties.
Yeah, it's not going to be like, yeah, you just
you
say
get it?
Yeah, all right, that's it.
And it's a what's the word? Consolement. It's a consolement at the same time that you're gonna go through difficulties. It's a fact. It's a fact. So, in that sense, you know, I take it in a way that it's gonna happen anyway. So the use of stressing over it, doing that, you know, over the top huzn over it, like the sadness over it, it's just not worth it. It's not. There's no point, because Allah said it. It's a guarantee.
That's that radha bil qada, though, innit? That
Allah's
happiness
decreed.
with whatever Allah has decided. I guess that comes from Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam's story as well.
100%.
You know, like, okay, that's the dream that I've seen. Tells his
Surah
son,
Safat.
yeah, this is the dream, and the son's
Surah
like, well,
Safat.
whatever you've been told, do it. And it's like, even a kid at that
amazing,
time,
amazing.
Like, just Ismail alayhi salam, just like, yeah, go on, man, whatever you
يا بني إني أرى في المنام أني أذبحك فانظر ماذا ترى قال يا أبت افعل ما تؤمر ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. That, the absolute tawakkul is so beautiful. It's so amazing. That Ibrahim alayhi salam.
افعل ما تؤمر.
افعل ما تؤمر.
افعل ما تؤمر. Yeah.
You've been ordered.
Do whatever you've been ordered to.
So
yeah.
Ibrahim alayhi salam is telling Ismail alayhi salam that, oh my beloved son, inni ara fil manam, I have seen, verily I have seen in my dream, anni azbahuka, that I am sacrificing you. Allah I am sacrificing you. Like, look, it's just, you can't imagine that, because it's nothing we will never do. Like, we will never, Allah, now until Qiyamah, Allah won't tell us ever to kill our children. Allah says in the other parts of the Quran, you know, do not kill your children, like for the fear of poverty, etc. لا تقتلوا أولادكم خشية إملاق. That's one example. Or خشية إنفاق, and all these other examples.
I think
إملاق is you know, poverty, etc. So don't kill your children because you feel that you can't provide for them. So, you know, after
Yeah.
that, Allah will never ever, and He has never ever ordered anyone to sacrifice their children. So, أني أذبحك فانظر ماذا ترى. So he's telling Ismail, so what do you think about what I saw? What do you think? As in, what should I do? Or what do you think, And then Ismail alayhi salam responds to his father, Ibrahim alayhi salam, that, um, what was it? فاضل ماذا ترى؟ قال يا
Yeah.
أبا تفعل ما تؤمر. افعل ما تؤمر. So he said, Ismail alayhi salam said,
Subhanallah.
Ya Abad, oh my beloved father, if'al, do ma tu'mar. What you've been ordered by
Whatever
obviously
you've been
Allah
ordered.
subhanahu wa ta'ala. Satajiduni inshallah min as-sabirin. And verily, or whatever other word is, indeed you will find me amongst those who are the patient ones. He was ready to accept his fate. Ismail Ibrahim was,
To
he
put it on the
literally
line.
he laid down, and then as Ibrahim salam was trying to slaughter, he himself said, "Oh my father," in the stories we hear that, let me turn around so you don't have to see my face. So let me
Yeah.
let me lie flat so that you don't have to see my face and feel even more bad whilst you're carrying out the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then of course we hear in like according to the nearest meanings that angel, is it Jibreel salam? They put a block of
I believe
copper
so.
or like a iron or metal or something, or some
Yeah.
sort of metal to stop the knife actually cutting, because he was actually putting force into it, but it wasn't cutting. And that's when, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, to the nearest meaning that, Ibrahim salam, you've passed the test, etc. And say here's a kabsh from a animal, a ram from Jannah, slaughter that instead. And that's how our Eid al-Adha came about. And
Came about,
all of
yeah.
that.
You know, I found out
Amazing.
recently that the
Mm.
Kabsha, right? The Arabs, they not refrain, but they dislike to do camels and goats. Like they'll do it only because the Prophet
Okay.
ﷺ done it. But when they want to do a sacrifice, they look for Kabsha. They look
Ah,
for something
as
like
a
that
sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam,
because they're
basically.
like it comes in. Yeah, because it
Yeah.
comes in the
I
Quran, and they're
mean,
like, it comes in the Quran,
yeah, of course,
obviously.
as long as they don't say it's haram to do the other ones, then yeah, of course.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure
no,
they
no, no.
know better,
But they
of
just like
course.
uh,
That's quite
there's
amazing,
one
yeah.
Egyptian. There was one Egyptian at the masjid, and he's like, I was like, yeah, what are you doing? Because like my dad's getting 2 cows, and then we all taking a share, and then we all gonna give money and stuff. And then he was like, cow, we don't do that stuff. I was like, what do you do? And he's like, we look for kabsha, just
Wait, it's a
kabsha.
ram, innit? It's a ram.
And I was just
But
like,
what is it? It's like it's not
yeah,
a hybrid, but it's a sort of sheep, right? They have horns or something.
I think it's, yeah, more like a
Goat.
goat, more like a goat. But yeah, with the
Mm-hmm.
horns. But yes, they I don't know. It's one of those Arab things,
Yeah.
isn't it? For us, we're just like, yeah, like bro, whatever has the most shares, and everyone can jump on and give it together, and
And
everyone
now,
can eat.
and now
Yeah,
it's
that's what we'll
the
do.
new one, innit? Whatever's the cheapest now or something. Oh no.
Yeah,
But I
true.
mean, yeah. Khair anyway. I think for us it's more, as long as the animal's halal and it's part of the shares thing, then you know.
I think that's the other thing, though. Somebody did say some. It's off topic, but they were talking about if the ulama don't do something that is a hasana, something that is good, then why do you expect normal
Yeah.
people to do it? So I guess me myself, I would hold ulama accountable as well. Like, what are you doing? How are you
Mm-hmm.
doing it? Where are you doing it and stuff. But yeah, that's probably a different day. A
Now,
topic for a
Khair,
different day.
that's actually put an idea in the mind. I think the ulama should say on the minbar where they're doing it. If the topic comes up,
Yeah,
not to put themselves on a pedestal, but like you just said, it's in terms of guidance. Like this is where or at least offer a service where, for example, I will be inshallah sending Qurbani at this so and so country. Whoever wants to contribute towards it, and inshallah it'll be your Qurbani being done. Then feel free to come to the imam or like a committee member
yeah.
after the salah or after the event or wherever a time may be, and try to inshallah get your Qurbani sorted if you want,
But
in it.
yeah, I guess it's something they should provide, and like I think it makes it easier when they like what you call it, when they team up with like Ummah
Yeah,
Welfare.
if you can get,
When you like
mm,
have those people coming in and doing those charity events,
yeah,
like fundraisers. If you got them coming in, or like, yeah, look, this is our Qurbani rates. Anybody wants to come here, we're sitting at the back. We can fill you in, and you go for the elder people that don't know how to use a computer. Say we
exactly.
can do it
'Cause I
for
think
you.
a lot of people, they, what happens as well, like you're saying, it's they want to do it, if that makes sense. Like they want to do it, but then they don't exert themselves enough to find a way to do it, and then they
Yeah,
procrastinate it, and then they just don't do it. So having that there, it sort of gives them no excuse, I guess.
yeah.
The
It's
extra
going the
step,
extra step for them
yes,
to
as
make
well
it
as,
easier.
you know, it's a reminder for them as well. Like, because sometimes, you know, we get lazy and you just think, oh, then when you don't do it enough,
Yeah,
then you end up quitting. Thought, oh, I don't need to do it. Do I need to do it? And then that's when Shaitan sort of starts trapping them,
yeah.
or trapping us, should I say? So,
Alhamdulillah, in our area though, our Imam, because he's got a madrasa back
mm,
home in Pakistan, so I think he's building a new one actually. So he's got a madrasa, and what he does is he gets locals, like, do your Qurbani where I'm doing it. So right now he's actually in Pakistan, so it's much easier. But before he's like, yeah, this is the price, and people give him money, he would send it to Pakistan, and they would buy the cow, buy whatever they're buying. They would
mm,
do the zaba, and he's like, we got a freezer. All of that meat that we get on Yom Nahar, on Eid, we keep for the whole year because it's
mm,
too much. And it's enough for everyone, for all the kids, for the whole year until next year. Then we do another one and we have meat again for
wow.
another year. So, Alhamdulillah, that's how, like, offers that in a way. Obviously, some people like doing it, some people don't like doing it. But yeah, I think like that's how, alhamdulillah, our masjids are
Mm.
good in that way. But yeah, I see a lot of the masjids not providing it. I guess the imam's providing
Yeah,
it though.
yeah. And it's part of like the topic that we had, the conversation we had earlier. That this is another service that masjids should be able to provide. You know, has, you know, we were talking about before
Mm,
earlier in an earlier episode how masjid should be the hub of
masjid, yeah,
every amal
yeah,
that
yeah,
we need to take place. Like, we should, if we can, and the masjids are able to, you know, get in touch with people that offer Hajj and Umrah, people that offer trips to Palestine, for example, to Aqsa, etc. If we can
yeah.
do that, then that's amazing, because we lose, because of how insensitized we've become, and dehumanized we've become, with how much, you know, every day we're seeing someone like, you know, returning to Allah because of, yeah, at the hands of the enemies of Islam. And we just, at first it was, you know, remorse,
Think
and
it's
we feel the
normal.
pain. Then it's like, oh, it's a constant theme and a constant occurrence. And then you know, people are trying to get about their own lives, and then we're seeing this again. It's the same news again and again. This place has been bombed, that place has been, you know, shot at. And it's sad. And but at the same time, these are the tactics and the techniques of the enemies of Islam, to expose you so much to it that it just becomes a normal thing. Desensitized, we in dehumanized, and we lose
Yeah,
connection of the reality of it, because we just see everything on our screens, on our phones, on our TVs. Well, not even TVs, because, you know, these mainstream don't want to, you know, mention the realities of it. But we see it on our phones, we see it on our
exactly.
own devices. But when we are able to go there and physically be present with these people and see how amazing they are, in terms of how much tawakkul that they have despite the difficulties that they go through, it'll only inspire us, because humans, we, hmm?
Have you been?
I haven't been, no.
Have you been?
I missed the opportunity, because when the group of Darlun boys went,
Mm.
I wasn't a part of that. I think I was,
Yeah.
where was I? I think I was doing Talawi, innit? Because they went in Ramadan last 10. They went last 10
Oh yeah, they were in
a couple years
Ramadan.
ago. It was like,
Oh yeah. I was thinking. I
nah,
thought
it
you
was
went with them because
Dilhaj,
I
isn't it?
thought that was
Shout out Dilhaj, isn't
mm,
it? Yeah.
mad.
So
See him smiling now.
so these lot, yeah, and when they went, and I was like, I think Mansoor, these lot went as well, but they went a few times, I think.
Mm.
But yeah, no, inshallah, definitely make intention for that. And it's like, you know, when we always hear the youth, like, mashallah, they're ready in it. You know what I'm trying to talk about? They go Palestine. If anything happens, they're ready.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But when they go there, it's like
yeah.
relatively peaceful. So it's ajib when these people sort of, I think they know in it, when the tourism, or not stuff, I would say tourism, but when people go to visit, is more strife. So they wouldn't do those things
Yeah.
when foreigners go. They'll do it at a time where it's just the locals, and then they harass them, etc. Ajib people. So may
True.
Allah give us tawfiq, really.
I think it's like they also don't let the outsiders in at that
Okay,
time.
yeah,
They only let them in. Like, I'm not sure how it is. Obviously, I haven't been. But inshallah, like when you go, inshallah, I'll come with you, bro.
inshallah.
But yeah, like I think somebody did go in the last 10 days from St. Albans, and they were there giving aid. So they did take a few videos of what was going on, and like they posted that. So I'm not sure if it was actually their videos or somebody else's, because a lot was going around. But I knew that they did go for aid in the last 10 days. So, mashallah. But yeah, they never like reported that they
Mm,
got hurt or anyone that they know got hurt or anyone with them got hurt.
yeah. No, alhamdulillah. But yeah, I mean, I think recently, a former Darlun boy, he went with a group of his local people, and there was a video I remember at the time when he was there, or was it just after he left, or just before he went, like a bombing, basically, like a certain area got missiled by
Mm,
those cursed people, and it was just it's just like, because they imagine they were there at the time, so I'm sure maybe they felt a rumble or they saw certain smokes. Like
yeah,
it makes it more real, because we see it, like we said, we've got
yeah,
all these
you,
sort of devices that we see these things daily, on a daily basis, whether it's real life or whether it's on a game, and we just get dehumanized from it, because
yeah,
yeah, you get
decentralized.
really
Yeah,
desensitized from it all. So
I think that's one of the main things, though. The main reason we don't feel that connection, one of the main reasons, I make that mistake quite a bit. One of the main reasons why we don't feel that connection to like our deen or people of our people, our ummah, is we can't put ourselves in
we
other
can't.
people's shoes. So like when it comes to the sacrifice, Ibrahim alayhi salam, like putting yourself in those shoes, actually trying to, not just hearing about it, like thinking you're a father, you have a son, this is the son that's been given to you after so much dua, so much, effort that you put in and time, and now you've been told that you need to sacrifice this son that
Mm.
you've been given. Like putting yourself in that position. Same as when you hear hadith
Sallallahu
of
alaihi wasallam.
Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like when the Sahaba say, okay, yeah, we were in a gathering, like they're not saying that for a joke, they're not just saying that, yeah, here's a little
No,
bit to add to the story, yeah, I was
it's to
in a
help.
gathering. It's to
Yeah, yeah,
make you
part of it.
feel this is the gathering, and the best ashraf al makhluqat, the best
Is,
creation,
yeah,
is sitting
hosting the
here,
gathering, basically.
and he was talking, yeah, and he's talking to us, and this is what he said.
That hikmah,
So
isn't
when you
it? If
listen
you
to a
think of it,
hadith
yo,
like
honestly,
that,
the hikmah.
yeah,
Because they could have just said Rasulullah SAW said it, but
subhanallah,
in what state did he say it?
yeah,
They mentioned everything. Was he sitting at the time? Was he standing at the time? Was he doing something at the time? Where he was?
yeah.
Amazing.
Like, yeah, I was riding with the Prophet Sallallahu, or yeah, we were sitting down, it was me, this person, and this person, or the group, there was a group of people that came to the Prophet Sallallahu, and I asked this, like, yeah, it's all for a reason. And subhanallah, it's like when we actually know what it is and why they're saying that, I think you
And it
start to
makes such a
feel it more.
difference.
You're
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
yeah.
gathering.
And the thing, like the way, the mas'alas are derived because of certain scenarios, certain situations. And that's not taken into context enough. Whereas, these, for example, these ghair muqallids and these Salafi brothers, they don't take the context enough. Like
Yeah,
the hadith is mentioning
yeah,
this is
they
what happened, so
don't.
Rasulullah said this. But then they say, no, we're going to do it because he said it anyway. But what context, bro? What context?
Yeah,
Listen to it. Listen to the context. There's a reason why we have our, ai that were accepted by
usul.
Allah, to the point where we still have them today. There's a
Yeah,
reason why they've been accepted, because they did all of that. What emotion was Nabi Sallallahu going through when he said something, what he was doing, what he was saying, what maybe sometimes what he was wearing, all these, the Sahaba Ikram didn't need to. They could have
subhanallah,
just said,
yeah,
Rasulullah, qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, qala Rasulullah, they could have just said that. But they made sure that, they didn't want to ever be held accountable. You know how scared Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was to narrate a hadith?
radiallahu
Like,
ta'ala anhu, yeah,
that's why when we see in the books of hadith that his riwayat are so little, because he'd, there was a, if I'm not mistaken, Moulana, like he was writing up some, but then he got rid of it because he was so scared
yeah,
that
he,
one portion of it was wrong, that the Nabi Sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't say this, and I could get held accountable for it to the nearest meaning of
Yeah,
that story.
exactly.
And so easily, we get our people saying this and that, and this is Nabi Sallallahu did this, Nabi Sallallahu did that, and the context is completely lost. And
That is true. I think you have it on both sides. Like obviously, there's going to be bad in every group, but yeah, you have it on both sides where some people are like, no, the Prophet ﷺ never said this, and it's like, well, just because the chain is weak, there's still a chance that he may have said it, but it's better that you say the chain is
mention
weak,
it, yeah,
not the
yeah.
saying of the Prophet. Yeah, but not the Prophet ﷺ didn't say it or something like that, because that is putting yourself in a big
Honestly, and it's
position as
like
well.
there's another. I remember another incident where we came across a weak hadith in terms of those hadith where if you read a certain surah a certain amount of times, like surah Zilzal or the surah Adiyat, you read it,
Full
or
time.
Qari'ah, so one
Yeah.
of those surahs, right? You read it 7 times and you get the reward.
Yeah, I think
Zilzal, you
it's
get the reward
Zilzal.
of reciting the Quran for a whole time basically, and it doesn't equate to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
reading the full Quran in that sense where you don't have to read the Quran ever again because I just read Surah Zilzal 7 times and that's it. No, but the reward of it, there's a difference,
Exactly.
right? You reading the Quran from cover to cover, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you what He wants for that, and it will definitely be far greater than just reading Surah Zilzal 7 times. But just to give context of how merciful Allah is and how much He wants to give us, 7 times that hadith, for example, that might have been a little bit weak or da'if or not so strong. And then when you do it and someone says
Yeah.
you narrated you're gonna get this reward, then oh, it's a problem. It's da'if for this and that. Where you're telling people to do bid'ah and that. Like bid'ah with the Quran. Are you seriously? Are you being serious? What do you mean bid'ah with the Quran? And this is just a context to give us motivation to read it. Whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give you that reward or not, that's completely up to him. Wallahu da'ifu liman yasha. Allah will always increase
Yeah.
our reward
Subhanallah.
in
Yeah.
whatever way he wants. Maybe one whole Quran, Allah could give you 5 whole Quran reward. Why not? If he wants to do it. But the fact that people are so
Exactly.
strung up, they're so high strung on these things, is ajib as well. And I mean one time as well, um, I don't like giving an example of myself, but because it happened, it's quite important. I think I'd rather just narrate it. It was during khutbah on Jumu'ah during Ramadan, right? And I spoke about how, how first 10 days is the days of what?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, rahmah, innit? So the
Mercy.
days
Yeah.
of mercy. Middle 10 days
Yeah.
are the days of forgiveness, and the last 10 days are the days of protecting yourself from the fire of Jahannam.
Purification.
And I mentioned it in that way
Yeah.
where, we should make dua for maghfirah as much as we can, do tawbah as much as we can. And for these are the 10 days where it's more specific, where Allah Subhanahu says, or where it's mentioned, sorry, that forgiveness is more strife. And the brother just, after the salah, or after the khutbah, after the salah, sorry, he's like, no, but Allah forgives every day of the year. What do you mean? You can't say that. And I go, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said it's more specific for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive you whenever. Of course, we know that.
Yeah.
Allah will, in the many, many places in the Quran, do that tawbah, do your tawbah, return to Allah. Tubu ila Allah, we tawbatan nasuha. Like, yes, we know that, but the mentioning of these 10 days as they are is so that we are more, what's the word? It's more of an incentive for us to do it. Like, we strive more for it. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was already forgiven. Why did he strive more in Ramadan? Does that make sense? It's to give context to how important Ramadan was, for example. But then the fact that they take it out of context, that
Exactly.
Allah forgives all throughout the year anyway. You don't need to say it like that. And I go, no, but Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said it like that. So why shouldn't we say it like that? Why did Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam do itikaf in Ramadan last 10 nights, or sometimes even the last 20 nights, because he was looking for Laylatul Qadr? Whereas if he told you specifically that Laylatul Qadr is on an odd night, or just the 27th night, or then any day of the last 10 nights, then the incentive to look for it and to strive even more wouldn't be there. So it's a similar thing.
It's
So
gone.
it's like with a
Exactly.
similar thing with the hadith of you read this certain ayat a certain amount of times, or a certain time of the day for this sort of reward and this protection and that protection. It's just to give us that incentive to do it more. So to use those so Nabi Modosab, he was saying it, to use those hadith that is mentioning fadila, meaning the goodness of
Yeah,
fadail of
Fadail.
fadail of the deeds, to take them even though they're weak is absolutely fine, because what is the
Yeah, the
what is the
muhaddithin.
maqsad, what is the intention behind these sort of hadith, is to make,
Make
make us do
you
good
do
deeds,
good
to
deeds,
do,
right?
ta'awanu ala al-birri wa taqwa, like it makes you, strive for the good, for goodness,
For
yeah.
goodness, yeah.
So
And I guess that's what the best 10 days
that's it.
are coming up, man. And it's probably going to be on everybody's WhatsApp status. Best 10 days. La ilaha illallah. Everyone, make sure you're doing something. Fasting on the days. I
And
think
refraining
one
from
thing
sin
that
as much as well. It's and
that is one thing I
we
was about
just
to say.
to, as a reminder for myself as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just to remind of how merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, that when we refrain from sins, like, because how strife sin is now, it's literally at any minute of our day we can end up falling in sin. But when we refrain from it, we get rewarded for it. Like, imagine that. That's how merciful Allah is. When we refrain from it, we're rewarded for it. It wasn't even something that was meant to be done. It's a sin for a reason,
Yeah.
but we get reward for not doing it because of how strife everything is. Like,
Subhanallah.
whatever gets viewed and whatever is seen here and there and everywhere nowadays, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
obviously an accident, for example, billboard, an accident, you look up, but you don't look again. Just that, like, little things like that. It's amazing, like, how much Allah's favored us as an ummah, really.
Subhanallah, man. It's true. Sabr al
Sabr al
ma'asi.
ma'asi. That's a
Sabr
sabr
al
that we forget, the ones of, this person of mine died, that person of mine died, I lost this money today, that much. But that sabr is something we all really lacking. We could do
could
with
do
that.
it, yeah.
And if you want to ask for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sabr, some people say you're not meant to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sabr because you don't want the bad or the difficult in the first place. But because of how
Yeah.
strife it is, may Allah ta'ala keep us steadfast and safe from
I
these
mean,
things, really.
I think that was good, man.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah for your time. Jazakallah for your insight. And I guess today's gift would be a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
I'll do the translation. I don't have my book with me. The translation of to the nearest meaning. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there is no greater day, a'zam, no greater day in which the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more beloved towards him than the actions of these days. In these days that are coming up, the 10 days, the first 10 days, Yani al Ashr, the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, فَأَكْثِرُوا فِيهِنَّ التَّهْلِيلُ وَالتَّكْبِيرُ وَالتَّحْمِيدُ. Thus increase in it your takbir, which is Allahu Akbar, your tahleel, which is La ilaha illallah, and your tahmeed, which is saying Alhamdulillah. And all of these, making sure we're on these dhikrs and making sure we make the most of these days, man.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give
Ameen,
us
ya
all the
Rabbil Alameen.
ability. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Stop recording, man.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله